both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davis, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency.
And welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. You're live exclusively. Exclusively. No more on the New Visions Radio Network. We are also simulcasting on our YouTube channel, so if you'd like to watch us rather than listen to our lullaby voices that put you to sleep, you can watch our ugly bald mugs on YouTube. Yeah.
That's what they'll hear when they try to watch us.
Why just that?
Because it's scary. That's why.
Is it?
It is.
Come on, you gotta let up some scarier stuff than that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hold on.
It sounds like 80s. It sounds like cheesy 80s slasher.
How about this one? That's classic Gord.
Yeah.
And he's not here to defend himself, so we can make fun of him.
You know what's funny? He probably wouldn't even defend himself.
No, he'd laugh along with us.
Oh, he would.
Yeah.
So yeah. What was it gonna? Oh, speaking of where that came from.
Yeah.
The mysterious woodlot.
Mysterious woodlot.
Okay, so we're going to go back in.
Yeah.
And get some more footage and more audio, only for the simple fact that a lot of strangeness has really unfolded. And I think a lot more than I anticipated.
Yeah.
With this.
Well, just the last week alone when we went, not last week, when was it, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
When we all clearly distinctly heard the knocking sound and wasn't showing up on tape.
Well, it's showing up. You can hear it. You can clearly hear it. Actually, you can hear it clearer on the recording. Mm-hmm. In fact, more so that we didn't even react to it when they first started.
Yeah, that's right. But I thought you said it wasn't you weren't seeing a wave pattern on it.
The wave pattern is not visible for the knocking, and the same with the wailing.
Okay.
Where all other wavelengths are there still, the normal wavelengths are still there, but for some odd reason, there are no wavelengths for the imprint for the knocking.
That's weird.
It's really weird, and I mean when you listen to it, I mean we heard them live, like real time, and I mean what did they sound like to you?
It sounded like, well, we discussed it I think during there when we were listening to them. It sounds like someone's hitting the trunk of a tree with a branch.
Like a huge branch.
Yeah.
Like whack.
Yeah.
And this happened, several times. And as I pointed out when I was going through the audio, and I think I counted like 4 or 5 times before we actually reacted to it finally. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it took around 4 or 5 times. And then bang, finally, I which is kind of odd, too. I mean, did we obviously didn't hear them then.
That's right. It was a weird scenario. Like that night felt weird. I know.
Well, I mean, it started off weird.
It did.
Those goddamn soybeans.
The soybeans plus the bones. Yeah.
The bones. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean the leg bone especially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Haven't heard anything. I don't know. Am I going to hear anything? I don't know. I mean, it was something that needed to be done in terms of getting the local authorities involved with something like that, because
Yeah,
you never know. You want to be safe,
for sure.
especially, even if it is a deer bone. Uh, but like I said, it very suspicious, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you find every day, right?
Well, yeah, definitely, and and you see it all the time. You hear about it all the time. Hiker or runner stumbles across, whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
and then all of a sudden, bang, we stumble upon this, and it just seemed okay. What kind of bone is that?
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Well, we started off with the bird skull, right?
Well, yeah, at least we know what that is, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's a no brainer. But I mean, the leg bone was a little different,
Yeah, definitely
you know.
was.
So,
We're,
but
we're all like scratching our heads, wondering what the hell that is.
yeah, and when we went deeper into that section of the woodline, it got colder and colder, but it didn't get colder and colder inside the woodlot itself. It seemed kind of warm in there.
It was definitely warmer than outside of the woodlot for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I felt it when we were outside. It was definitely a lot colder.
and not only that, the fog rolling in, that was very, like I said, I really wish I had a way to record that on video. It was just very eerie.
Yeah, it was. You wouldn't have been able to record it properly just because of
No.
there was no lighting there.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's one thing experiencing it, but another to be able to sort of share that experience.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
the only way is you had to be there.
exactly. You definitely had to be there.
But the one thing I pointed out that seemed very intriguing, is again the audio. And you know, the second time that we were, putting, gathering some, audio,
Yeah.
and we only had a couple recorders that night, and of course one of the recorders had a full card, so it was useless.
Yeah.
So we had one H4 going, and we had it situated on a big stone. I'd say what 10 feet, 15, 20 feet away from us, maybe more.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
You know, and listening to the audio, and you've heard a few of the clips.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can equate it to is like it felt like somebody was standing right there by the recorder and talking.
Yes.
And it just, when you listen to it, it was like whoever it was or whatever it was just observing us and saying stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of weird hearing those. You're right. It sounded like chatter. It was like chatter going on.
I kind of equated to something like a place that we investigated so many times in the past, DeForest.
Yeah.
And we used to call it ghost chatter. But this was different because you could like literally hear it with your ears, real time. Where this, we couldn't hear it, but was coming out in the audio, and that's what made it even more intriguing. I just don't know how to explain it other than that it's just awfully weird.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
and that's part of why we're going out there to find, to do this stuff, is just to basically see if we can capture anything weird. And so far, we're so good.
Well, yeah, not only that, and trying to sort of, sort of match it to what has been, said has happened in that area.
What's been reported. That's right.
Reported. trying to make sense of it all. Is there actually something going on, or is it just, something that we can not easily explain, but explain down the road through what we find?
For sure.
That's the main objective, obviously. But other than that, all that set aside, it's weird, man. That place is just weird.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a lot of forests at night or whatever, but this is just weird. I don't know what it is. Just something about it.
It's unique. Let's put it that way.
Like, what were you expecting?
In all honesty,
in all honesty, yeah.
In all honesty, I don't think I was expecting much, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because, knowing my history and my luck, nothing really significant happens. The odd time throughout many years, things have happened, but not much happens when I'm around. So I wasn't expecting anything to happen. Okay. I'm glad that we did have some stuff that we could kind of scratch our heads over, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And that was good, because it's nice to be able to go out and actually capture stuff that makes you think.
Yeah. I think I'm really trying to find a way we can get a thermal imaging camera.
Yes.
Because what I want to do is I want to, sort of give us another edge in the dark and try to, explain some of the things that might possibly be something that might be close to us, rule out animals and whatnot, people.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Makes sense. You want to be able to determine whether there's actually something physically there or not.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And it's just another element. But I mean...
They're not cheap.
No, they're not. So somebody want to let us borrow one?
Either that or buy our merch.
We'll rent it off you even.
Well, they can buy our merch.
You can buy our merch. No, we'll trade your merch.
Yeah, there you go.
How about that?
Yeah, we could do that.
So if anybody's got a handy thermal imaging camera that they don't mind lending us for a couple nights, great. Let us know.
Yeah, message us. nocturnalfrequencyradio@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or if you're following us on Twitter at Dark Discussions.
Yep.
Facebook, Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Instagram.
Facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And Instagram as well.
Instagram, Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Yep.
We're going to take a break. So, but before we go, what's new?
Nothing. There's another one for the books.
The cool thing about it now is people can actually see your facial expression when you say it.
Nothing.
All right. Yeah, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll be back talking about a lot of stuff within the paranormal. This could be our last show of 2020, by the way, right?
Yes.
That's right. Unless something really unusual happens Friday night.
That's true. Yes, if something unusual really happens, then we might have another show next week.
We might have to share it. Okay, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to and watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio live on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course on our YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davis, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, streaming live on our YouTube channel.
Streaming.
It's funny, a guy at work, his name is Carlo, and for some reason I call him Carlo Gambino of the Gambino family.
Oh, God.
It just sounds fun. It sounds good, and he really loves it. He's like, I like the way you say that. Gambino.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, put some gust into it.
Everybody wants to be a mobster.
Yeah, he doesn't even know who the Gambinos are.
Wow.
He has no clue. I like it. You can call me that. Okay. Carlo Gambino. Okay. I don't know why I brought that up, but whatever.
This is what people hear.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we doing here?
Well, we have a caller on the line.
Already?
We do. He's been waiting patiently to come online and talk paranormal. So if you're ready,
Talk paranormal.
talk to paranormal.
Talk to the paranormal?
Well, no. We could try to talk to the paranormal, but I don't think it'll work. We can bring him in. His name is Kevin. We haven't given him a nickname yet, so maybe we'll come up with one tonight.
Kevin the Butcher.
Yes, Kevin. How's it going, Kevin?
The Butcher. I don't know.
Not so bad. All of a sudden, I'm a serial killer. All right, that's good.
It's exactly.
Kevin
My other hand.
Yeah.
My other hand has a chopper in it.
So what's happening, Kevin?
How you doing, guys? Been a long-time listener, first-time caller.
There you go.
It's about time.
Yeah. Now we just got to
Well,
convince
you know what?
we got to convince everybody who's been listening a long time to call in.
It's just a matter of how much alcohol you've had in your system.
This is true. This is true.
So let's start with this. What you drinking, gentlemen?
I'm drinking Crown. The Crown you got me, actually. A 10-year-old
All
whiskey.
right.
It's excellent.
Nice.
I'm drinking water.
What a sissy.
Oh, lightweight.
What the hell?
Lightweight. Lightweight.
It's yellow
Crown
water.
Royal Maple.
Which one is that? Town.
Square wheels.
Square Wheels. Oh, okay.
Square wheels. IPA.
IPA, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve loves the IPAs.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So
Especially
Kevin
local.
apparently has some interesting stories he would like to share.
Well,
Sure.
Let's hear them.
Go ahead, Kevin. The floor is yours.
Oh, wow. I'm all nervous and stuff.
Don't worry. Just take a couple more drinks.
Yeah.
Well, give me a second. Let me ply myself with alcohol, and then my lips will be loose.
Yeah, take that as you will, folks.
Did everybody hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Alrighty. So, given this is a paranormal sort of show, and I think it was one of the reasons why that Alex and I kind of get along is we kind of have a mutual interest in this stuff. Whether it's because of the same shows that we used to watch when we were kids, or just same interests and whatever else. But I think we also share an interest in the paranormal as well, because for a lot of people, there's always something, somewhere, somehow, something that people can't really explain. Now, some people have experiences and some people don't, or some people are scared to share them, or they keep it to themselves. But for example, for me, with my dad, he passed away a few years ago. And, he was sick for a little while, but, he went peacefully. But you had some unfinished business. We still had things to do as a family because I was still taking care of my mom and everybody else and other people, the family and such. And this is the time of flip phones, I guess. So I had a CDMA cell phone at the time. So, if you don't pay your cell phone bill, it doesn't connect.
Yeah.
So at this time, my cell phone wasn't connected. My dad had already passed away, maybe about 7 months at this time.
Okay.
So, no word of a lie. After that 7 months, I get a call. Nothing shows up on the display, but my dad calls me.
Wow.
I heard his voice. It scared me senseless. I couldn't believe it. I had to look at the phone. You know how Neo looked at the phone in The Matrix when he got that call from Morpheus? Exactly like that. I looked at my phone.
Wow.
There's a chill went down my spine. I didn't know what to do. Maybe it was just a message from beyond or whatever else, whatever you want to call it. It was enough to shock me, to get my butt in gear and to get everything else organized for the rest of my mom and for me and whatever else. But the phone was disconnected. It rang though. I answered it. I heard him. He called me.
So you were able to hear his voice?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like, how long are we talking about? Like, how long were you on the phone? Like, was he talking?
No, it wasn't even a conversation or anything.
Okay.
But it was his voice that I heard, and he mentioned me. Your father's voice when you hear it. Yeah. And I heard it. It was enough that it shocked me that I didn't know what to do.
Did he say anything to you specifically, or?
No, all he did was say, "Son." You know when your father calls you when he's mad? Yep. Like that.
Yeah.
So it was enough to send that chill all the way from the top of my spine to the bottom of it. I looked at it. I hit my phone a couple times. I said, "Wait a minute." I tried calling. I couldn't call the number back. I tried. Didn't work.
Wow.
But no number displayed on your phone, though, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know if it was an EVP or whatever else you might call it, but it actually sent a message to me. Wow. Whatever he decided he wanted to send to me, it worked.
Yeah. That would work on me, too.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
So, when people say that, I don't believe in things that I can't see or anything like that. Well, guess what? There are things that we don't always know about.
Exactly.
So
that's for sure.
That happened to me. As sure as I wasn't, under any influence of anything. I wasn't drunk. I didn't have any drugs in my system, anything like that. I was just waiting for my friend at a corner. Next thing I know, my phone rings. Answer it. Hello? Wait a minute. How is this working without it being connected? Son?
Wow.
It's almost like he's giving you shit for something you haven't done yet.
Yeah, or what I should have done.
Yeah, what you should have done, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, isn't it?
That's really incredible for that to happen. Like, I can't even think of how that felt.
Yeah, but it made me believe. Not that I didn't believe before, but it made me believe in things that we can't always explain. Even if it's a scientific thing that we don't really have the tools to explain yet. Yeah. There are things that exist that we can't always do or always account for right now.
Well,
so when people say that they see ghosts or something or they saw something, I don't always discount what they say. You look for evidence or whatever else, and you go from there. But if you ask me if this happened, I'm going to tell you yes. If you hook me up to a lie detector, you're going to see that I'm not lying. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you have an incident like that happen or an experience like that, you wonder, you kind of wonder, like, exactly, like, is it all a matter of just science unable to explain it right now? And I mean, that's what the paranormal is all about anyways. I mean, it's the unknown.
Right. And
that's things that we can't currently understand with the tools that we have in hand, right?
Yeah, and primarily because the tools that we have right now are not designed to be able to detect the paranormal.
Well, no, I'm talking about like the understanding of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the tools, but just our understanding outside theories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, besides theories, because I mean, pretty much, anything outside what science can understand are just really theories to us.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
it sounds like magic to somebody who can't figure it out. It's
exactly.
like going back in time.
Magic. I mean, magic was another thing. I mean, a lot of stuff years ago, magic was something that, well, hey, look it, and a lot of it can be explained now, but not all of it. There's still parts of it that many people don't understand. Well, maybe some do understand better than others, but yeah, it's a totally.
Alex and I are also fans of movies and TV shows that also deal with it. So it's sort of like that Michael Keaton movie that you saw from a few years ago in the mid 2000s, White Noise. If you've heard of that
Noise,
one.
yeah.
White Noise, yeah.
So it's sort of the same sort of field we're talking about there.
Yeah.
Where
definitely.
paranormal and ghosts actually communicate through electronic means and EVP and such. So that may have been an example of this. Who knows?
Could possibly be, yeah. Like, I mean, when you look at EVPs in general, you look at that sort of realm, and the way I look at it, I simply my theory, and my not necessarily a conclusion, but through the the research and everything that I've experienced in terms of dealing with audio, I tend to think that it leads down to infrasound, and infrasound I believe can be sort of like a recorder, if you will, or a almost, I don't want to say like a record player, but more so towards like a recorder, if you will. And something's recorded, an imprint, whatever, and it houses it, and somehow we can tap into it using certain tools, obviously, like digital recorders and even cell phones at times. And look at with your experience, Kevin, with the cell phone at the time. I mean, there's many different ways that we can sort of patch into that sort of realm that we can't hear with the naked ear, if you will, without the help of these tools.
It's quite true. Have any of you ever had an experience, someone like this?
Personally, I've not had an experience like cell phone wise, or to the extent that you had. No, I haven't had something like that. I've had weird stuff happen, but not nearly as on the same level as that. No.
I told you my story, Kevin, right? When my dad passed away?
Yeah, I think you did. You can repeat it if you like. Up to you.
Yeah. I know a lot of the listeners long-time listeners probably heard this story a million times, but nevertheless, it's a couple of new recruits, I guess, that I can share quickly. So the night that my father passed away, I had gone to see him at the hospital because he was hospitalized. He had cancer and he passed away from leukemia. And I got home we knew, like we already knew from the doctors that he was going to die. He was terminal, but we didn't know the day, the exact day that he was going to die. So I went to go see him at night. And then when I got home, maybe close to around midnight, I tried to go to sleep and I kept tossing and turning. And when I got to that level, when you're kind of half in and out of sleep, is when I experienced this. And basically what it was dream or a vision, whatever you want to call it, where I see like a hazy gray background, like a foggy background sort of deal, and my dad just sort of there smiling and waving at me, and then sort of disappearing. And as soon as he disappeared, the phone rang, and it was my sister who was spending the night at the hospital calling to tell us that basically he had passed away. So that's my experience in a nutshell.
Yeah. It's another weird one, man. I mean, you hear about like I remember when I was a kid, anyways, and I remember I was at my grandparents' house, and I remember um, being in the front living room of their house, and I remember my grandmother had reacted. There was a phone call. How did it go? It went down like, oh, she had reacted to something hit like something rather weird flying by the window in the kitchen in the back of the house. Something rather large and very dark. And within seconds of that happening, there was a phone call, and the phone call was a relative from where she lived in Newfoundland, and telling her that her brother had passed away. And it
Huh.
was just really, really odd that a lot of people would say, "Well, it's an omen. That was an omen," or other people would say banshee. The harbinger of death. You hear about these stories all the time, and I mean, do you sit there and say, is it coincidental, or is this a reality? I mean, this is this stuff that's really happening? I mean, you really have to sit there and think, on a serious level, like, the possibility of these happening, of these sort of things. I mean, you hear all these examples, but then something out of the blue happens that you've never heard of before. Then what? How do you explain that?
Yeah.
That's what the paranormal is all about. Encountering situations that you initially go, okay, and scratch your head and go, what just happened? How do I explain this?
That's just it. How do you explain something like that?
And I mean, going back to Kevin and his phone call, his phone ringing. I mean, immediately, Kevin, you tried to dial the number or whatever. You tried calling back or whatever.
Yeah, I did. I tried to do that on my own, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, so you were trying to make sense of it, and you're being logical and trying to phone the number back or whatever, right?
Yeah, correct.
You're trying to make sense of it.
And we couldn't make sense of it given what we knew. So.
And I mean, it's simply something that because I mean, my first rule of thumb is to recreate or try to recreate. If you can recreate it, obviously it's explainable pretty much. But I mean, in the case there, you couldn't recreate it because I mean, you couldn't phone the number back.
No, exactly. It's not something that could be recreated anyway. My phone was disconnected. How could that make any sense?
Exactly.
So that doesn't make any sense at all. What line was it connected to? Nothing.
Mm.
So, well, not a line that we knew anyway.
Yeah,
that line went somewhere else, I guess. Hello, operator.
As Thomas Edison dreamt of doing, it was the phone to the dead.
Yep.
Huh.
And it's. I mean, is that a reality? You sit there and I've heard so many theories and sort of experiences about the dead, if you will. And I mean, this is what makes me think outside the box when it comes to the paranormal in most cases, and especially with trying to say, well, most traditional thinking is, a lot of these paranormal experiences, ghostly experiences, are, an experience with somebody who is dead, perhaps. And, ghost is the ghost of a dead loved one or whatever. And I've heard so many different theories and so many different things to make you think differently in terms of what if the transition that we call death is not actually death, but the transition into the next stage of life. right? I remember hearing or reading research done by I believe it was ITC in the UK there, and they were doing a lot of audio work with some instruments, and what they claimed were conversations with the other side, and their claims were that they were talking. Some of the conversations were talking with some well-known people who had scientists that had passed on, passed away and passed on. That their claims were that in fact that they weren't dead, that they only moved on to the next realm of existence, and that we here now are actually in purgatory. We're in waiting to move on to the real world. And I found that fascinating to think of that perspective. You know, that what? This isn't real life. This is we're in a waiting period, a waiting room, if you will, to finally make our way in, to be accepted into the next stage, the real life, as they put it. I mean, if that's not weird, then what is?
That is weird. That's very weird. But I kind of agree with that myself. I've been thinking about this for a long time, obviously, and I always think that the stage we're at is almost like the infant stage, if you will. And when we die and pass on, we go into to the toddler stage, and then so on and so forth until, you know what I mean, as far as spirituality goes, or your soul for that matter. I think it's in the infancy stage now, and it just keeps progressing forward like it would a regular baby, right?
Well, look at when we're born and we're conditioned. Now, more so than anything, we are conditioned through societal boundaries, guidelines, whatever. You're born a male, you have a certain way of looking at life. You're born a female, you have another perspective. I mean, that's just the way it's been. Now, obviously, it's changing a little bit, but I mean, the point is, we are taught to use 5 senses, right? And all those senses are tangibility. Everything has to be within those senses, correct?
Yep.
If anything is outside those senses, it's not real. Or at least we're meant to believe that way. So when you look at my computer desk, it's solid. It's not a living organism, but yet it is. But we don't look at the molecule stage. We don't look at the fine sort of, like, I guess I'm sort of getting into the metaphysical sort of frame of thinking, if you will. That there's more to life than just the physicality of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if we're
there should be
able,
evidence to this as well. As you were saying, Steve. Sorry. There's evidence to this as well, because if you think of the example of people who have died or passed on, say for a certain amount of time, and their heart stops, then all of a sudden they come back to life. Yet they have strange experiences that they can't really describe, that nobody has any rational experience or frame of reference to. I saw this light. Yeah. I experienced this thing. Oh, we can't explain this. Why? Because we don't have the methods or the tools.
Exactly. And I mean, science will kibosh that and say it's just, well, it's this, it's that. Rather it is or not, I don't know. But the fact is, I mean, we've had a lot of people on here to talk about the metaphysical, and I wholeheartedly believe that there's more to that sort of realm that meets the eye. I really do. I really do think that there's more than just the physicality of life. And I really do believe that we'll be much more free if we can break the chains of relying on everything being physical. I think we're quite restricted to the fact that everything we need to touch, smell, or see, or whatever. And there are so many things that we can't see, that we can't smell, that we can't taste, that we can't sort of think of, if you will. I mean, try to wrap your brain around the universe, for instance. The size of the universe, can you wrap your brain around it?
Nope.
There's literally no ending in sight that we know of.
It's I just hope that the next stage is better than what we have here.
Well, I think we all hope that.
Yeah.
I think we all hope that. I mean, the Bible calls it heaven, right?
Mm.
And I don't want to go down that route, but I mean, I don't want to say that's what it's called, but I mean, to put a name to it, I don't know. I think that's irrelevant. Other than the fact that is there more to what we're experiencing now? And it's interesting to think that for the longest time, most people feared dying. I mean, people don't want this sort of life to end, if you will. But more and more, I think people are becoming. I mean, obviously, it's a scary thing, right? I mean, the word death is a scary thing. I get it. We all have to face that demon when it comes. We all have that day, obviously. But do we all have to face it as if it's the end all be all? I mean, that's how most of us look at it, on a physical sort of standpoint. If your life revolves about everything being physical, then death is the end. Right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are scared. I mean, I can only speak for myself, obviously, but I think a lot of people are scared about dying because they don't know for sure what's coming up.
Well,
so,
yeah.
You have, if you were brought up in a religious home, obviously, you were always told from very young that, well, depending on the religion, but let's go with Christianity here because that's what I'm more familiar with, heaven and hell. And even though I may not necessarily believe
that.
Sounds like a
Black Sabbath song, by the way. No.
What's that?
Sounds like a Black Sabbath song, by the way.
Yes, it does.
Heaven and hell. No, go ahead. Sorry.
But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, even though I'm not religious, because it was ingrained in me for so long, from a little child onwards, you doubt, whether that's real or not, obviously. But there's always that nugget in the back of your head that if it is true and there is a heaven or hell, I know I'm going to be going to hell with the way I've lived my life. If it's true, to the T of what religion wants us to believe. I don't personally believe that, but nevertheless, that nugget's in the back of my head, and I'm sure it's in the back of a lot of people's head, whether they are practicing their own religion or not, that what happens, they're kind of thinking, okay, what happens if I die and this is actually real? Then I've lived my life. Did I live my life, rather, the way I should have, and will go to heaven, or will I go to hell?
Are we all afraid? And again, when you look at a majority, obviously, everyone. I mean, everybody in some form or fashion have been affected by some sort of religious sort of standpoint, regardless. This is the way life is here on planet Earth. I'm not saying it has to be Christianity or Buddhism or Hindu or Muslim or whatever, but there is some sort of religious sort of connotation or whatever that you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
That in the beginning you either believed or you didn't believe, or you didn't want to believe, whatever. And I'm babbling on to the point where I don't even know what point I'm trying to make. So forget it.
You've confused yourself, have you?
You sure you're only drinking water, Steve?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's what I mean. It's if we were to think outside the sort of religious norm, if you will, and it's like death is almost like judgment. We're going to be judged for the type of person we were in life, more or less. And that's basically what they say. If you were good in life, you're going to be going to heaven. If you're an asshole, whatever, you're evil, you're going to hell. It's almost the same thing as when Santa Claus comes to town.
Mm.
You're not going to get a present if you're bad, right?
Sack of coal.
You know?
And that's exactly it. It's a way of providing guidance. So
exactly.
That for the ones who, when you're trying to form a society, you want everybody to obey by the rules. So if they don't obey those rules, and generally being a good person, it's easier to abide with good people than it is with people who aren't. This is why you push this message, and that's what those chroniclers did, basically.
Yeah. And the scary thing about all that is, you sit there and you go, but what really is good and what really is bad? I mean, to some people, bad is not bad. It's actually good. And to others, it's evil. I mean, you look at the number 13, for instance. Most people relate that to being a very, very negative number to be associated with. But in other countries, if you will, number 13 is a lucky number. You know, it's the perception of it all is everybody's got a different perception on certain things, and that's, I think, what causes a lot of the mayhem. I think, besides all that spiritual water that they sell out there, Alex.
The MMS.
You know, what was it? Peter Popoff and his life-giving water.
With a name like Popoff, do you really want to buy water from the guy? I don't know.
I can't remember the name of the water he was.
I'd be kind of worried.
Some sort of spiritual water.
Oh, I'm sure it's spiritual.
It was supposed to be spiritual water or something.
Is it clear or is it opaque?
I don't know. I never bought it, so I couldn't tell you.
It's kind of cloudy. You look at the glass. Holy shit, this is kind of cloudy.
But that's what you get from TV evangelists, right?
Yeah.
They got to make a buck somehow. And most people buy into that. Well, look at, that's the paranormal though too, right?
Oh yeah.
You've got a lot of medicine men out there, a lot of shaman out there. Well, not shaman, but
charlatans.
Medicine.
Yeah.
Charlatans.
Shaman, charlatans, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
I don't want to call shaman charlatans, but charlatans. Yeah. There's a lot of those that will tell you something will help you when realistically they're just trying to make a buck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to take a short break here soon, buddy.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, well, I loaded up the Alex project.
Did you? Oh, God.
Do you want me to send it to you so you can play it for the YouTube folks?
Yeah. I'm kind of worried. How long is it?
It's not long at all.
Send it over.
What is this again?
Oh, it's... don't...
Well, okay, so let's put it out there for those who may not know.
Mm-hmm.
As most of the regular listeners will know that I've constantly asked Alex pretty much every show, what's new,
Yep.
and Alex will simply go nothing. So trying to form a conversation, get a conversation sparked up, he just literally drops it. It's like some of the guests that we've had on the show, and you try to look. I hope they're a talker. We don't have to ask too many questions,
Yeah, yeah.
So, Alex, what's new? Nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
That's like my standard answer.
What's new, Alex? Nothing. So it's just an audio collage of Alex's nothing. Not much. Nothing. Same, nothing.
It's an
Is it going to be a
homage.
new dancer that we can actually sell, or what?
We actually could do a remix. Yeah, I think we could do the Alex collage.
Nothing.
It's more like a
Nothing.
techno song.
We could do that. A techno house sort
Techno
of
beats.
droning beat.
Yep.
Do we have any musicians out there that could do it? Well, I'll send them the file. So
Yeah.
some DJ out there that wants to make a song out of it, we'll make it the official Nocturnal Frequency Radio song.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, what's new?
That'll be the new slogan you can print on the back of it.
Yeah, at the back of the t-shirt.
There you go. There's a droning beat. Nothing.
Hey, man, we might make some money.
I think we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break here. You're listening and watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, simulcasting on our YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davis, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex. You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, simulcasting on our YouTube channel. And I've really been enjoying this YouTube thing. When Alex gets it right, but I mean I've been
pipe down there in the peanut gallery.
The peanut gallery. Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Gotta play the sound effects, man.
It's funny the more you've drank, the more the sound effects come out.
Yes.
And we're not talking about the ones that come with the computer or the program, the ones that come naturally.
Yeah, the ones that come naturally. Yes.
Isn't there a delay or something to avoid that sort of thing?
Well, I have a mute button.
The problem is, Alex has drank so much. There is definitely a delay there in delaying things.
Oh yeah.
Oh well.
I'm gonna have to drink a lot more for that to happen.
So in other words, some of our listeners think that an earthquake is on the way, and then all of a sudden it stops suddenly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so in case you guys weren't listening during the first before the first break there, we have our good friend Kevin on, who was telling us a rather interesting story, that an experience that he had, and you have another tale. You have another story you wanted to share.
Sure, certainly. Now, this isn't as involved or as paranormal as you might think, but even so, it's something that you really can't explain. So, as I said to you before during the break, it's more ESP related, because everybody thinks, well, how can we tell the future? How do people know things beforehand? Mm-hmm. Now, this happened when I was a kid. So, when I was a kid, I had a bunk bed. So, I was dreaming. And I dreamt, I think I was maybe 16 or something during the summer. I dreamt that I was getting up, but I slept on the bottom bunk. So as I dreamt I was getting up, I got up with a start. As I got up, I hit my head on the top bunk. And then I lay right back down. Felt the pain on my head, lay back down. Then I actually got up with a start. Got up, hit my head on the top bed, bunk, felt the pain on my head, lay back down. I dreamt exactly what was going to happen. And in my mind, I ended up laughing, but what happened there? What'd I do? I couldn't explain it, but it was funny.
That is rather unique.
I can picture it. I could actually.
No, it's not the alcohol talking. It's not.
I was gonna say I can picture Kevin doing it now. You know,
it was funny then. It's funny now. Alex.
Yeah,
Don't worry,
exactly.
you can laugh. We're friends.
Exactly.
Bang! Ow! Ow! But exactly as I dreamt it is exactly what happened. Even the pain was the same. So nobody was there hitting me on my head or anything. It was just me by myself. I remember, I think my father came in, hey, you okay? Because he came in afterwards. Yeah, what are you laughing at? I don't know. You know? But, you know, this is where you would say, well, where did that come from? Why would I dream something like this that would actually happen? Even if it's a couple seconds.
Yeah, that's always been something that intrigues me. Like, I'm not one that remembers a lot of my dreams, but I've had something similar when I was a kid where this is
I
back.
Thought you were going to say, I can't remember. It's like a lot of things I can't remember.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is back when I still used to live in Italy. There was this ice cream shop that I used to always go to get ice cream. And so I had this dream where I was going to the same old ice cream shop to get some ice cream. And I would come out and I looked down as I came out of the ice cream shop, and I noticed that I was standing on top of a sort of broken, like a cracked sort of concrete slab, for lack of a better term. And I would look up, and I saw this lady dressed in all black walking down amongst the crowd. And, then I woke up. I was like, okay, weird dream. Anyway, I ended up going to the ice cream shop that not too long after, I had that dream. When I woke up, maybe an hour or so after that, I went to the ice cream shop, as a kid, getting ice cream, came out, looked down, there's that cracked sort of concrete. I look up and there's that lady in black coming down the hill. Same as I had dreamt it. So it's kind of interesting how things like that happen.
Where does that come from?
Exactly. Right? Who knows?
That goes to this. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this. I've heard theories about this, but none of them makes any sense to me, anyway. Like, how can I put it? That deja vu feeling. It's almost like one of the theories is, I believe, where you're not actually experiencing deja vu. It's almost like a delay between your eyes and your brain registering it that makes it feel like you have a deja vu. But I go, but this is like a dream. Like, I woke up in the morning saying, what the fuck, that was a weird dream. And then I go out and do whatever I got to do, and the same thing happens as I dreamt it. That's a little bit more than just the deja vu thing, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more to deja vu than that, I think.
Oh, I believe that too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of. It's like, I wholeheartly believe it has something to do with some sort of, not sort of time slip, but time anomaly. Mm-hmm. That perhaps maybe you're experiencing somebody else's experience.
That's quite possible.
Or you are experiencing something that perhaps in another life. I don't know. I know you're really into time regression and
past life regression.
Past life regression and stuff like that. So, I mean that could be something down your alley, if you will.
Yeah, that's definitely one avenue. I mean, there's many different avenues you can approach this by. You can approach it in the sense of, if you believe that we do live in a multiverse sort of scenario, you could have tapped in to the event happening in another sort of parallel universe, and then it happened to you as well.
I mean, that's a complete reality, because, I mean, even science now sort of has pretty much proven that we are living in a multiverse. Mm-hmm. It's not a universe as we know it, but more so a multiverse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at that on a like multi sort of level as it is, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Well, I think that goes to your discussion about what senses that we use in order to perceive reality, Steve. So this could be time related.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, when you and that is something that many in the metaphysical sort of world have been preaching for years. And it's just a matter of science catching up to it, and sort of explaining it. Explaining it to a certain level, obviously, to what they can understand, obviously. But I mean, we truly don't understand. I mean, we don't even understand the human brain. Mm-hmm. And the capabilities that it might have, other than, look at that gray matter there. It's a lot smarter than it looks, There's so much going on there that we just don't understand with that. Is the metaphysical...
He's smart enough to be stupid.
Yeah. Is the metaphysical in our brain? Is it just a part of our thought patterns? And it has nothing to do with the outside world, if you will? Is it all within our brain and that's it?
Or even to go further along those thought lines, maybe our brains are just receivers, and our consciousness or our awareness is elsewhere, and we're the living embodiment for our consciousness that resides somewhere else.
Well, when you look at, have you ever experienced disassociation with your body?
I would say Not entirely. The one time that I almost had an out of body experience.
Well, I don't want to say out of body. I think that's a totally different sort of scenario. Disassociation with your body is when you feel like you're not inside your body but outside it. You have your perception is totally different. It's a really weird feeling, and I remember feeling it a couple times years ago, and it is totally something that is so hard to explain other than it's an experience related to sort of feeling like you're disassociated with your body. So it's not necessarily an OBE at all, but rather just, look at your frame of thought, the way you're thinking, and it might be on a mental sort of state. Well, it pretty much is on a mental sort of state that you just don't feel associated with the body that you're supposedly in.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess OBEs are different, but in a way,
they are. Yeah.
like the way the experience that I had, I don't know if it was an out of body experience or if it was on my way to being sort of disassociated, only because it ended so abruptly, right? I couldn't I couldn't tell you which one it would have been, right? But all I know is that, I was doing meditation, and I had started doing meditation uh, just to help me fall asleep faster because I was having issues, falling asleep. This is going back many years. And a friend had turned me on to meditation as a method to try to help myself fall asleep better. And it worked.
Staying alive.
Yeah,
staying
exactly.
alive.
It worked to a point where, when it used to take me over an hour to fall asleep, when I got better at the meditation part, it would literally take minutes for me to fall asleep. And there was the one night where, I would lie down on my back, close my eyes, and sort of clear my mind and start my meditation. And I sort of felt myself sort of lifting outside, lifting myself out of my body, so to speak. And at the time, I had no idea what the hell was happening. So I snapped awake, and I hadn't been able to meditate since to that level. I guess because, not knowing what was going on at the time. I mean, this was back in my going late teens, early 20s. So well over 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But it was just one of those scenarios where I guess because I didn't know what was going on and it freaked me out, I was never able to fall asleep using meditation again. Like I was never able to do it because I guess part of the reason was I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And, now that I know, I try and I can't focus. You know what I mean? I just have a hard time focusing on the meditation part. No matter how hard I try, no matter what method I try, it just won't let me do it.
Are you the same way when you read?
Yeah, I can be sometimes when I read. I get distracted easily. Like thoughts just come in.
Do you find yourself having a hard time concentrating on, say, a book that you're reading?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I've found that quite more so now than ever, where I really just have a hard time concentrating on reading a book. I have a really hard time. Like I said, I've been working on a book myself, and I have a hard time even sitting down and doing that.
Yeah.
Finishing it off. Fine. Finish it off already.
I don't have a problem writing short stories.
Oh, short stories are nothing.
Yeah, short stories
Because
are fairly
attention
easy.
span isn't. You don't need the same sort of attention span.
That's right. And I find that with short stories, and when I get into the groove, like the ones that got published on Corvus's anthologies, when I get into the groove, I can usually spew out a short story in a relatively short period of time and be done with it. But you're right. I've tried multiple times to write a novel length story, and I just can't get past a certain point.
It's tough.
It is. It's extremely tough.
It's really, really hard. And I blame a lot of it on how society is now. And I don't want to get into the COVID shit because COVID's obviously changed a lot of that now too. But But I mean, the age of the internet has really, really sort of sped up the attention span, if you will.
Hmm.
And you know, you kind of blame that a lot on when when the internet was in its infancy, or at least your experience with the internet was in its infancy. You were mindlessly surfing the net and all the wonders of the Wild West, if you will, and discovering all these different things and literally you're like you're a kid in a candy store and going, okay, this is cool, yeah, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool, and there's no given moment where you have like an extended period of time. It's like music videos and how they changed the editing format of movies, because they figured that, because of how videos back in the 80s, late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s, whatever, and how they took off, and how the editing of a music video had to be much more quicker because the format was so much shorter, right?
Yep.
And they found that because of that, the attention spans of most viewers were becoming obviously shorter because they were used to those quick edits. And now they had to incorporate them into movies because people couldn't stand long transformations between scenes. They had to be quick. I mean, there's a huge difference between watching a Stanley Kubrick film like 2001 to watching a John Wick flick.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, what a difference. Like, one's much more relaxing and intellectual, if you will, where the other one is quick and just, you have to be fully attending it, because if you're not, you're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a lot. Where were we going with this?
Well, I think where we're going with this is society has become that way, and and that applies not just to movies, it applies to life in general, because we've become so accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Watching movies and on the internet. I mean, initially when we went and started surfing on the internet, and this shows our age, but we were using dial-up and it was slow as molasses. So you had to be patient.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas now everything is lightning quick. You expect things in life to be that way as well, even though it's subconscious and you don't realize it. But, everything else is fast. Going from page to page on the internet's fast. Loading videos is fast. Everything is fast. You want things in real life to reflect what you experience when you're spending the majority of your time doing.
I mean, I think one of the famous things now, it's when you order something online.
Yeah.
It has to get quick. It has to be quick. It has to get here quick. You don't want to wait for it to show up.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same thing,
And if
one day shipping. Oh, I'm definitely going for that.
One day, same day.
Yeah, same day.
Yeah, same day. Sorry, same day shipping.
So Ron posted saying we're all the same age here. I don't know. How old do you think we are, Ron? That's a scary thing, asking people to guess our age.
I don't mind divulging my age.
Well, yeah. Hey, you're 25, right, Steve?
I'm 25.
Times 2.
Times 2. You're as old as that whiskey there, right? 10?
That's right. Mentally, yes.
Mentally. Are we of the same age? No. But I mean, when we look at how things have progressed, I mean, I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Realistically.
No, that you're right. I mean, it's affected everyone, obviously. It's more prevalent now with the way society is. Everybody wants things done right away.
I have I have to say, look, I'm just reading here. The Sops Sparkle Lady,
Yes.
Mars is saying she's old. She's not old. She's a spring chicken. Don't listen to her. You're not old, Mars. You're not. You're timeless.
So
Now,
Ron's partly right.
what?
He says we're all in our 40s.
I wish I was.
Exactly. I was going to say, I know Kevin and I are still, but Steve surpassed it.
I'm in the vintage 40s.
He's in the 50s is the new 40s phase.
Double barrel 40.
Double barrel, yeah, double barrel.
Double barrel 40. You know, it's really weird because I look at my parents and my grandparents when they were in their 50s and go, wow, what a difference.
Oh yeah.
With somebody being in the 50s now, it's just like, what? No. It just seemed like they were so old and
serious.
Serious and life was monotone.
Yep. And back then it was.
But it's amazing how that sort of the way society was, it sort of dictated the way you felt.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm 50, 51.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't feel like I'm in my 50s, and health-wise, everything. I don't feel that way.
Nor do you act it.
No, well, I know that. I mean, that goes without saying. But,
yep.
Right?
But, yeah. Let's get off with this depressing topic.
Yeah. So, Kevin, do you have another story?
Oh,
that's it. Cut him off.
Cut him off. He's cut off.
I'm just
no,
kidding.
No, don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. I got to drink some more.
Okay.
Other than the dream stuff, I can't think of anything offhand. Maybe something will come to me the next time. But
okay,
nothing comes to mind right now.
Let's throw the number out there in case somebody wants to call and tell us a story.
Yeah.
Certainly.
What's the number?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I could tell you in a second.
He's gonna go look.
I have to look. I don't have it memorized.
I have to look too.
It's 716-406-4472.
If you have a story, dealing with the paranormal, an experience you've had, if you'd like to cut us up, that's fine. We have no problem. No, I'm just kidding. The number to call is 716-406-4472. And I got a feeling if you do call, it'll cut Alex off. But that's fine. I'm just kidding. What's the number? If you if you have a story that you'd like to share with us, or an experience, or have a question, comment, whatever, give us a call at 716-406-4472. Maybe you had a story or an incident closely related to what Kevin was talking about in the first with his cell phone that was not in service. I mean, that Kevin, that just freaks me out still.
It still freaks me out to this day. I won't ever forget it.
I bet. I mean, I have to say I've been relatively lucky. I have both my parents still, but I couldn't fathom, what was going through your mind when you heard that.
Well, first was shock, and then second thing was I took it in a positive light. There are other people, I guess, who would have had that experience and would have frozen, I guess. But I took it as a message to get my butt in gear, because that's what he sounded like. So that's what I did.
Awesome.
And we have a comment from Ron, too. He goes, he experienced something strange and uncomfortable after being hospitalized for a seizure. For a couple of days, he went hearing things happen just seconds before they did. So that's kind of like a deja vu, I guess I would say, because if you hear and see things before they happen, you kind of experience a sort of deja vu feeling, right?
Yeah. Well, call in and elaborate on that a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Call if you want. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, I've had experiences, but the thing is, we've talked about my experiences 50 million times, and I want to talk about them again. They get cumbersome.
Yeah, it's
when you've heard the same story over and over again.
That's the thing. I mean, we can only go so far with our experiences. We need fresh blood, like Kevin, who's a fresh blood today.
I feel the blood draining out of me.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. That isn't that. Sorry.
Kevin, is Alex like the type of person when he walks into a room, he sucks the blood out of everyone?
The blood?
There's a running joke in our group that he's a vampire. And, well, he hasn't done anything to really disprove it, really. So, you know.
Why would I want to disprove
all
that?
The air just sucks right out of the room when he goes in there. And there's just a pallor that just happens. You can't explain it, but all of a sudden everything goes dark. Hey, Alex must be in the room.
And you know what? Garlic doesn't work on me because I'm Italian.
Yeah, he'll just eat it.
Yeah, I love
Here you
garlic.
Go, Alex. Name a famous Italian vampire.
I don't think there are any.
Exactly. Yeah. So you suck.
I'm the famous Italian vampire.
You famous vampire. Come on. What Italian famous vampires out there?
I honestly don't know.
There must be one in the Hammer films.
I've never watched the Hammer films.
No, they're all English. The Hammer films.
Okay, what about what's the Italian director?
I'm thinking of some classic Italian horror flicks from Mario Bava.
Huh.
But I can't think of any really real vampire.
I don't think. Not famous anyway. Maybe in passing.
Well, it's not necessarily famous, but I mean, there's some famous Italian horror films but I'm just trying to think of early Italian horror, which pretty much started in the 50s, but earlier than that, but mostly in the 50s. That's when they really became known through directors like Mario Bava. But they very rarely explored the vampire.
Yeah, I think the Vatican might have had something to do with that.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm just saying, talking out of my ass. By the way, Kevin, Marcy,
small little region in Italy that it's scary that it's its own little.
They probably have a lot of famous vampires hiding in there. Marcy enjoyed your story, Kevin.
Oh, I'm glad she did.
Yeah, who knows what's hiding in the Vatican vaults?
Are we going to get the conspiracy theory going now?
No.
Good. I don't want to get into conspiracy theory now.
No.
So, given the fact that that there are so many things in life that like strange incidents that happen that most people wouldn't bat an eye at, where some people would sit there and go and analyze it. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself, even if it's the smallest little thing, analyzing it and thinking, what just happened? Like, that just didn't make any sense. Where most people, it happens, big deal, move on. I don't know. Have you ever had that?
Can't say that I have.
An incident where you're like, okay, what just happened? Okay, that was not normal.
Yeah, no, I can't say it really has happened to me, unfortunately. I don't know about you, Kevin.
No, nothing like that. It sort of sounds like he's sort of experiencing like a flash in the matrix, and he sees the glitch, but everybody's oblivious otherwise. So
Well,
I don't
like I
think I've
said,
really noticed anything.
like
So I'm probably one of those automatons that missed it.
I've mentioned it a million times on the show, and sort of give you an example of something that had happened. When I came home from work, and this was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was just me and the cat, and my wife was at work at the time. She was working nights too, and sitting down, in the dark, just on the computer, and just aimlessly searching the web for whatever. This is back in the days when the net was the net. It was the Wild West, before the Facebooks, before the MySpaces and Twitters and all that kind of shit that sort of reshaped it and bring sort of control to what we look at nowadays. But when the net was the net, when it was the Wild West, if you will, the dark net, as it's known as now. Yeah. And my cat was lying in a mat in the front hallway, and sleeping. And then all of a sudden, there was this huge burst of energy, flash, right above the cat. And I'm like, what the hell? Okay, rationally thinking, okay, maybe it was just like a car light passing through or whatever. But I instantly kiboshed that, because the cat was on all fours and looking directly in that area where the flash was. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the cat is freaked out right now. Something really just happened. And most people I know would probably just sit there and go, whatever. But I'm like, something really happened here. I mean, it had to have. The cat's reacted to it. Maybe it's a blown fuse. Maybe the light blew. Even though it wasn't on, why would it blow? But, I looked at the fuses, the panel box. Couldn't explain it. Nothing would explain it. Other than I know something happened because the cat reacted to it. And we all know that animals are obviously more sensitive than we are. They can sense stuff that we can't sense. Or we have lost our senses or the ability to sense that stuff now because of domestication. So, I mean, that's just an example of what I mean. I mean, something weird that most people would just simply write off as something normal. Or it's so small it doesn't matter. Where I know I would go, okay, well, no, that isn't normal. There's something very unusual about that, and I want to know more about it. Inquisitive minds want to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to give you that sort of example, I mean, you've never had that? You've never been in that situation, Alex?
Not like that.
Well, it doesn't have to be like that, but, similar.
I mean, I can tell you, I've already said, told you this story about when I played the Ouija board in the cemetery and the planchette moved on its own. So there's that. And then there was silence.
Well, there's a question.
Yes. Do you believe in coincidences?
Well, do you?
That's a tough one. You know what? There are times when I find myself questioning that same thing. If you look at it from a non-paranormal, non-religious aspect, then the answer would be no. I don't believe in coincidences. Or sorry, yes, I believe in coincidences. But if you look at it from a paranormal and or a I guess religious perspective, then no, it's not something that you would believe in. It's almost like it happened for a reason, so to speak, right? So it's kind of one of those things for me where I kind of go back and forth on. So I can't really answer one way or the other myself. I don't know about you, Steve.
No, I don't think I'm really a believer in coincidence. I mean, well, I believe the fact that coincidences are there, but I mean, for the most part, I don't believe that a lot of, say, things that happen within the realm, if you will, are coincidental. I don't believe that. I don't.
So you believe things happen for a reason?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
I generally believe in there being a reason for something as well. A coincidence is just something that, somebody can't really explain. Because if you look at, say, something that was scientific before, and you'd say, well, it's raining. Thousands of years ago, it was the gods. Now we know better.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we have, again, things that we might have thought, yeah, as Kevin has brought up, a key point, things that we might have thought years ago that were in fact coincidental or we simply unexplained through reasonable means. So we go simply to something that seems reasonable to us to explain it. And if you're a religious person or brought up in a certain religious sort of atmosphere, something like that becomes unknown and frightens a lot of people and would be suppressed by religious beliefs into thinking that perhaps that's a sign, And we've all heard that before. Well, that's a sign.
It's a sign. Yeah.
When you walk under a ladder, it's bad luck.
When you break a mirror.
Is it really though?
Yeah.
I mean, do you believe that? Do
No.
you believe that stuff?
I don't believe that.
Kevin, do you believe that stuff?
Oh, you're asking me. I was brought up in a household that believed in those things, but not really. But even so, you ask somebody something like that, would you, even if you were, as you were saying, indoctrinated from the time you were young, I still won't open an umbrella inside the house.
Yeah.
Because according to lore, if I do that, somebody will die. So, my mother's voice is just going to haunt me and say, don't do it. All right. So, I'll dust up my umbrella outside and then put it in there.
So should they put disclaimers
you don't want to tempt fate. So in other words, that isn't
on the packaging of umbrellas, though.
Yeah, disclaimers. Do not open indoors.
Do not open indoors.
Well, it's funny. Have you ever noticed when you see somebody open the umbrella indoors and you see some people just look at them with shock in their eyes?
Oh yeah, all the time.
I look for that. I look for it. And then I say, they were brought up by the old country, I guess.
Yeah.
There are so many things out there that just amaze me. I mean, everything from clipping your toenails on a Sunday. Certain things that just, I don't get it. Why?
I have a book somewhere about that. Like all the different...
What's the weirdest one you've ever heard?
Superstition.
Superstition that you've ever heard.
I would say
Or what are some of the weirdest ones?
I've never heard about the toenail clipping one. I guess I would say
Neither
that.
have I. I've done it on a Sunday. What did I do? Well, that explains my block. All right. I won't do it anymore. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just. I mean, obviously, yeah. They're the obvious ones. You know, you break a mirror, you walk under a ladder. What are some other ones? Crossing the path of a black cat.
Oh yeah, I've heard that
You
one.
know. What
Yeah, I think Alex and I have had that discussion already. Here's my story. I actually had a black cat cross my path more than once. I think I was walking downtown or something, and the same cat would come and follow around. And every time that I went somewhere, he would try to cross my path. I can curse, right? This fucking cat. It just keeps on doing it all the time. It's like I'd walk in the block, it's crossing my path again. Fuck, again? Fucking cat, again.
Fun.
Like I wanted to throw something at it. It's like, this blasted cat. And I think people were just looking at me because I was getting frustrated. Like, fucking cat.
Yeah.
See, I'm still cursing about it.
Casual brings up another one, the evil eye. There's another one.
Yes, evil eye.
The evil eye. I mean, there's another superstition.
Like every culture has that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Thai culture has that as well. Greek culture, a whole bunch of different cultures.
They all do.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Mars said black cats are good luck in England. I've heard.
But that brings up my point again. You know, like I mean, you look at something like the number 13.
Yeah.
You know, it's good luck in some countries, and other countries is bad luck.
Have you heard this one? Killing spiders is bad because there's money that's coming to you.
No, I haven't heard
You
that
have
one.
spiders in your house?
No, the other thing I've heard about killing spiders is don't kill a spider, otherwise it'll rain.
Yes, that I've heard.
That's the only one I've heard.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I heard the one about money, so
I gotta take a look.
Kinda weird
I have a book about superstitions somewhere. I gotta look for it.
Like what's the one? The deal with putting a penny in a new wallet.
Something about good luck, I guess.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I had this friend a long time ago. I mean, I haven't talked to him in years, and he's Greek. And when I bought
that
my new,
explains it then.
well, yes, it does. Yeah, okay. But anyway, no. But one of the things he
wallet
did.
on the ground, Alex?
What's that? I didn't catch that. What'd you say, Kev?
I asked if the wallet was on the ground.
No, it wasn't on the ground. Got nothing to do with the wallet. But when I bought my new car, or new to me car, I should say, one of the things he did was he threw coin inside the car, and he goes, "This is for good luck." So I mean, there's a plethora of different beliefs depending from which part of the world you're from, right?
So what were your thoughts when he did that then?
I was like, "Hey, more money for me." I mean, it was only a quarter, so it's
So
not.
you really didn't care about the aspect of it being good luck.
I don't believe in superstitions.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. You really didn't care the fact that he thought it was good luck, but you just didn't care.
Oh, for me personally, no.
Oh, I
Well,
got another
in my-
quarter to put in my
Yeah.
pocket.
In my case, if that happened to me, I would look at the well wishes that my friend was giving me and say, well, okay, well, thanks. This is wishing
there
me
you
well.
go, Alex. There you go.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, I took the quarter out after he was gone. I
You
didn't-
know that's no.
You know what,
Thanks.
Kevin? He really is a vampire.
I am.
Yeah, he is. He has no heart. He has no soul.
Yes.
Thanks for the quarter. Yeah. I wish it was a loony. Damn it. All right. Gotta go.
Just another
there
fucking
you go.
quarter.
There's another superstition. Hanging garlic.
Yeah. There you go.
Like I said, that won't work with me.
No, but I mean, let's
You're
face it. I mean, think of all the countries that used to hang garlic
Yeah.
in fear of vampires,
Yeah.
right? Or staking a corpse in the chest
Yeah.
Through the heart.
to
Yeah.
make sure they're
Yep.
dead.
Chopping the head and
fear
staking
that-
a court and
In fear that they were going to, rise at night.
we gotta get Sean Manchester on the show.
Really? The bogus bishop.
Yes, the bogus bishop.
You really think he's going to come on our show?
No, he won't.
No, he won't. From the last I heard, he doesn't do radio anymore. He doesn't do interviews anymore.
I wonder why.
Why?
Because he's a bogus bishop.
You keep saying that, and he probably will come on the show.
Well, okay, I'll put it as a soundbite, and I'll just keep playing it every so often.
just like the Alex remix, right?
That's right.
We're gonna make a new beat out of this.
That's correct.
Bogus, 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 bogus.
Nothing.
We can kind of mix the two. You can mix that along with,
Focus,
the
focus,
no,
nothing.
nothing.
Focus, nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing. Focus, nothing. Focus. Sounds like house music.
That's what it'll probably end up being.
We gotta make the Alex.
All we need is
remix.
KTEL Records now.
I can't tell. Holy shit.
Oh man! Wait a sec. I'm the older one here, Kevin. What's going on here? KTEL. How many 8-tracks do you have?
Actually, I have a few.
Wow.
Yeah, you've met your match, Steve.
Uh-oh.
70s music rules.
70s porn music rules even more.
So we know what kind of vampire that Alex is.
Yeah, sexual vampire.
He's a 70s porn music vampire.
That's exactly it. We turned on channel 47 in the mid 90s. We'd see Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a mullet wig on him.
Oh, fuck. Jesus.
Can you imagine him with a mullet?
Yeah. Well, not just a mullet, though. The back would have to be tied into a ponytail.
Well, whatever. A mullet.
Business
Put
in
a
the front,
fake
party in the back.
mustache on. Put a handlebar mustache.
Yeah, even better.
Oh, man.
That's scary.
Look out, Fast Times.
Yeah, that's scary.
And Richard Palmisano would have a challenge.
He would, yes.
He would. You know that, right?
Yep.
He would no longer be the king of 70s porn stars.
Nope, that would be me. Me with the mullet and the handlebar mustache coming down like this.
It's funny because I can imagine it right now.
So can I. That's why I'm laughing.
You get that tight fitting beige leather jacket on
Ah,
with the
jeez.
killer
I
collars.
think we have just found Alex's new Halloween costume.
Oh my God! What the 70s porn star?
and
That's correct.
Those bell bottom jeans, tight in the ass.
Shit. That's scary. I don't want to scare people away.
It's too late.
Yeah, I know.
It's too late.
I know.
See,
And you have to have the wah-wah pedal with a guitar as well.
Yeah,
This is truly paranormal here, guys.
it is. It's
This is truly paranormal.
Let's call it how it is. It's demonic.
Demonic.
It's
Maybe
demonic.
in your mind it is. This is amusing.
Yeah.
And he'd have a little bell on his zipper there.
Hanging around the neck.
Is that a cat? No, it's Alex.
Yeah. Why does it sound excited?
That only happens when there's garlic around.
Yeah, exactly.
You're listening to the KTEL sounds of Killer Collar Alex.
We getting offline with New Visions?
Huh?
It's 11 o'clock.
Is it 11?
Yeah.
Okay. We have to end things on New Visions. Hold on. Thank you for tuning in to New Visions to listen to tonight's show. We're continuing on YouTube here for a little while longer. So jump on over to YouTube, youtube.com/user/Nocturnal Frequency 1, or just simply type in Nocturnal Frequency Radio in the search box on YouTube, and you'll find the live show there. So join us there. Until next week. Oh, wait. This is quite possibly the last show of 2020, unless something
interesting
very
happens.
unusual happens
Yep.
in the woodlot next Friday night. Stay tuned for more. Take care, folks, and thank you for tuning in via New Vision Radio Network. We're continuing in on our YouTube channel. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right. New Vision's out of the way. YouTube's still streaming.
You know what? We really need to be playing some Benny Hill music right now.
Yeah. I know Kevin likes Benny Hill.
Kevin,
I
are
love
you a
Benny
Benny
Hill.
Hill fan?
I'm a huge Benny Hill fan.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
That's not Benny Hill.
He was the best.
Well, that's Benny Hill. What are you talking about?
Sure it was.
See?
That was also
Come on.
on Sesame Street.
What? What Sesame Street were you watching?
I was watching the After Hours show.
The porno 70 Sesame Street that had the...
Oh, God. Okay, so those of you who are still watching on YouTube, we're making fools out of ourselves, of course.
Yep. What else is
But
new?
anyway, let's. Okay, so yeah, exactly. He does rock. I love Benny Hill. Kevin, were you a Dave Allen fan?
Dave Allen. You'll have to
Dave Allen.
refresh my memory on that one. I don't remember that one.
A comic, same sort of dry humor, but he would sit in his chair, and he would tell jokes, and he would have a flask of whiskey. He'd have a smoke. He would smoke every 5 minutes. He'd literally have a smoke in his fingers all the time. But his one finger was amputated.
Oh, okay. I think I might have seen one or two clips of him.
He was hilarious, man. He'd always make fun of the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he would cut them up. It was hilarious. And back then it was like a no-no, but I mean, he seemed to get away with it, and it was great. Alex has never seen Dave Allen.
I've seen snippets.
Have you?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just never really got into it.
I think Alex and I, our contemporaries, are either Benny Hill or John Biner.
John Biner, yeah.
John Biner, yeah, okay.
That was an awesome show.
Who would have thought that would have been on network television, right?
Yep. Super Dave.
Super Dave. Oh,
Super
yeah.
Dave Osborne. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Classic.
And he had that shtick for years.
That was classic. And then he had his own show for a while.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. But he was so popular that he'd even go on things like Curb Your Enthusiasm, and they'd know him as Super Dave.
Yep.
Yeah. How about
Years
SCTV?
ago.
Any SCTV fans?
Oh, for sure.
I've watched a couple of those episodes too. Yeah.
Johnny LaRue?
Johnny LaRue.
Johnny LaRue. I think the Christmas special is the best.
The
I
Smell
think you're,
Vision.
Christmas
I think you're
special?
with me on there.
Huh?
I'm with you on that one.
What about the Smell Vision?
He was walking the what was it called? Smallville? What was it? What was it? No, it wasn't Smallville. What was the name of the town, the fictional town in SCTV? He was the mayor of what was the name of the town?
Can't remember.
But it was after hours. He was drunk as a skunk, and he was wandering the streets of this small town. I can't remember the name of the town, and it was friggin' hilarious. John Candy nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was one of his best characters. Johnny LaRue. The failed businessman that becomes mayor of this small town.
Was it Melonville?
Melonville, that's it.
That's
Melonville. It. Melonville. Melonville. Perfect. Good old Melonville.
I still remember the commercials they did. Obviously, this was back at the height of SCTV, but when they launched the Bat at Canada's Wonderland, and they did a commercial with the I forgot the guy who played the I forgot the actor's name, but the guy who played the vampire, the Dracula back character.
Count Floyd.
Count Floyd, that's it. Yeah. Count Floyd, and he did the commercial for the Bat.
What was his name though?
That's right.
What the hell was his name?
The actor?
The actor.
I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can find
it. Joe Flaherty. Joe Flaherty.
Yeah, that's
it. That's a Joe Flaherty.
He was awesome.
Ooh, scary kids.
Yes. You ever watch 3D House of Horrors?
Yeah, the 3D.
Yeah, well, the time he had the meatball and spaghetti on his fork.
Yeah.
And he'd go up to the screen and he hit the camera and you could see the tomato, the pasta sauce on the screen still. Yeah. Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Or how about Martin Short? What was that one he did? What was that character he had?
Ed Grimley.
Sorry?
Ed Grimley.
Ed Grimley. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Classic. The whipped up hair, the high pants.
That's it.
Oh yeah, that was classic.
It was popular enough that he got a cartoon out of it. I remember.
Exactly, I remember that. Yeah, Ed Grimley. Oh, classic. Ed Grimley. Canadian comedy, especially in the late 70s or early 80s, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
We had some really, really good comedics here, man.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of famous Canadian actors that went on to be, famous comedians, like Leslie Nielsen's one, Jim Carrey, obviously.
Yeah.
I guess you can almost equate it kind of to British humor, because it kind of, depending on where it is, it's a mixture of that sort of dry, sarcastic humor.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, because British humor was, I think, totally different.
It is. I'm not saying Canadian was exactly humor, the same, but it had elements of it.
Well, yeah, sure, because of the heritage and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys remember a movie called Going Down the Road.
No.
Yeah.
You familiar with it, Kevin?
Yeah, I think I remember seeing it.
About the Newfies coming to Toronto?
Yeah, correct.
And, they heard about Toronto, and obviously they get a job at the Canada Dry Bottling place there, and they spend their nights, their weekends on Yonge Street, and they go to the strip joints.
Oh, yeah.
Yonge Street, all the girls on Yonge Street. And it's funny because SCTV made fun of the movie, and it was perfect.
Mm. I think that's where I saw the reference to that, because I do remember that scene, and I think I got it from SCTV.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
It was one of the classic ones. Hilarious. Joe Flaherty and John Candy.
Yeah.
Played the two characters. Classic. Anyways, I think we're going to wrap this up, guys.
Yeah, I think so too.
We're going to shoot some more footage this coming weekend for the Woodlot for Nocturnal Night Shots 3, which is now becoming a full-blown documentary in the making, because there's a lot more going on there. Very unusual stuff. So we're going to try to, I think, better explain what we're experiencing.
Yep.
And we're going to share everything. Of course, there is some sensitive material that we can't share until it's actually been sorted out by the local authorities, I think. Rightfully so, obviously, because we want to make sure.
Yep.
Until then, we may, who knows, broadcast another show next Sunday night, depending on how things work out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Kevin, I want to thank you for joining us tonight and sharing your experiences with us.
Thanks very much for having me.
All right, Kevin.
And yeah, until the next time we broadcast live, actually, keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because I think we're going to start throwing out some teaser snippets for the Woodlot.
Yes.
Very, very short snippets to keep you guys intrigued until it's finished. Until then, guys, take care. Have a good evening. Thanks for watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio here on the YouTube channel.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.